Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Welcome to Endorian Guitar Works Backstage, a guided look at the life experiences and ways and means of a guitarist's journey. My name is Brian McCoy.
My name is Matt Ackerman.
Welcome into the basement.
Into the den. The basement.
Into the den. We're really excited tonight. We're going to be introducing you to a friend of ours that we met at the Tacoma Guitar and Drum Show a little bit later on here. But first, it's been a few weeks since I've been here. I know our last show, Matt flew solo and
that was fun.
Interviewed Liam Kyle Cahill. I got a chance to watch it, and it was a really good interview. I wish I would have been a part of it, talking records and record art, vinyl art, and album art. It's a big thing for me, but it was a lot of fun to see it. I think it did a great job. Kind of made me think like I might not be needed anymore, you know.
Oh, that's not a thing. That is not a thing.
So yeah, that was good. It worked. I'm sorry I wasn't here.
No apologies,
but it
sir.
was my birthday, so
it's
my
your
wife
birthday.
took me away.
How old did you turn?
I leveled up to 40.
Oh no.
You know, I'm joining the old man ranks, I think, again at this point. Maybe not yet. I don't know. We'll see.
It's good times.
But age is but a number.
But you made it back out to last Saturday, which was important because last Saturday was a good time.
We had a great time.
Endorian Guitar Works repped at the Steamboat Festival. It's a community picnic that had lots of vendors, and we decided to throw up a booth there and meet people, talk music, talk lessons, talk the podcast, talk building guitars and working on guitars. And it was a great opportunity to show up for the community and really answer just a lot of questions and have good conversations.
It was a lot of fun. I think they raised some money for the community as
We
well,
did.
right?
We did.
Sold a few T-shirts and hats
Couple
and
t-shirts,
things.
yeah.
So, you know, merchandise. We do have the merchandise available on EndorianGuitarWorks.com.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, right next to the proud member of NAMM logo now, which is stoked for that. So a couple weeks ago, what was it, about a month ago?
Yeah, something like
the
that.
Tacoma Guitar and Drum Festival.
Yeah, I think we talked about it right after we went. We talked about it on the show previous to Liam's show, right?
I think that's it. So Brian and I went to this Guitar and Drum Festival in the Tacoma Dome. Mm-hmm. And first time we had gone to that particular show. Met a lot of vendors, a lot of builders. Actually learned a lot about like new effects pedals that are out. Like,
yeah, there were some cool effects pedals and stuff. Some local builders from Olympia, other luthiers and whatnot. One guy
played the ultimate prank on me. He sat me down with a 1965 Super Chorus and gave me a Strat and said, "Go ahead and play some Stevie." And I sat down to play some Stevie, and he had me plugged into a fart pedal, and
yeah, it was
as loud as it possibly could be in the middle of the Tacoma Dome. And
it was hilarious.
But
people from down the aisle were looking like, "What's going on over there?"
But one of the things that we did was we walked around one of the aisles and ran into a booth manned by a gentleman named John, and he's building some of the coolest guitars that I had seen in a while.
They were certainly beautiful guitars. I mean, there was some people talking about some of them being too heavy. I like a heavy guitar, so it was just right up my alley. They're I don't know, they're just gorgeous. I mean, I think a local custom builder, top notch. I mean, you can't get any better. He has built for other artists. He's got a specific artist. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but
we wanted to showcase him.
Yeah, we wanted to bring on and talk about his guitars, Wood Spirit guitars out of Everett.
We would like to welcome Mr. John Beason.
Welcome, John.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, so I guess, you know, we kind of talked about how we wanted to kick this off, but I wanted to give you a chance also. Like, what were your thoughts about being at the Tacoma show? That was a big experience. Couple days, a lot of stress, a lot of people to talk to.
It's always stress, but last year was way worse for a couple of reasons. Number one is my first guitar show ever, and even though middle of pandemic, it wasn't as big as it was this last year. It's still a pretty big show. Yeah. And, you know, I had multiple friends saying, "Oh, no worries, you belong. I really had a fear at that point that I didn't belong there. And so it was very nerve-wracking the first year. This year, it's still nerve-wracking. It's a lot of people, you're putting yourself out there. When you build and you put so much into these, you're putting yourself out there for judgment. And so it's a little nerve-wracking. But definitely, been there, done that.
Yeah.
You knew exactly what was going on and more of what to expect. So
that's really interesting. I didn't even have a thought that we were going to go down this rabbit hole, but like imposter syndrome is really, really freaking real. And, and I heard an interesting take on imposter syndrome, like in any industry, a couple days ago. And it was like, everyone deals with it, but the deal with imposter syndrome is that those people who really suffer from it are universally people who care about what they're doing and what they're delivering. So whether you've been there for 10 years or whether you've been doing it for 10 minutes, and it doesn't matter how qualified you are, it's like you've got a stake in the game, not because you're wanting to achieve something necessarily, but because you actually care about what you're delivering and how you're perceived and where you fit in the market. So that's kind of cool to talk about. Like, I think that's something that universally people need to recognize, is that when you're feeling that, you are definitely not alone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it was very helpful. The builders in the area, very supportive, great bunch of people, and I have guys like, Joe Riggio saying, yeah, good stuff, man. You're on the right track. And, and Bart and all these guys, Bill Leach, they're all like, yeah, you got it. You belong.
Absolutely.
You belong.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
why don't you, if you could go through a little bit of how you got started as a guitar builder?
Well, a lot of people, when they see my guitars, how long have you been building? A couple of years. They have a hard time wrapping their head around that. However, I have a huge jump start. Okay. I've been working in a wood shop since about 5 or 6. Some of the tools in my shop currently that I use all the time belong to either my grandfather or my father. So I've been working wood. I've done custom woodworking, custom cabinetry, tables, just the gamut. I've done a lot of custom woodworking. And when I lived in Colorado, I was a member of the Colorado Woodworkers Guild, and one of my friends in there was named Derek. And Derek is in my thoughts, a true luthier. He builds violins and cellos. And his violins and cellos go, I don't know, somewhere between 40 and 60,000 a copy. Wow. So they are very high end, and he's very good at what he does. And I was very inspired by that and learned a great deal from him, and I always wanted to do a musical instrument. Years pass, and I met my cousin-in-law, my wife's cousin, who's a very talented guitar player, very gifted guy here in the Northwest, Jeff Carolus. Joe Carolus is his brother, very talented piano guy, but Jeff Carolus plays the guitar. And I just got this idea. I'm like, Jeff, I'm going to build you a guitar because I want to do it. I got to figure it out. Nice. Still a couple of years passed. Started to do a little bit of research. What is this actually going to entail? And when the pandemic hit, I was like, now granted, I worked through most of that because my normal day job, my 40, 50 hour a week normal job is in construction. And so I worked the whole thing, but there was about 3 weeks or so where we were trying to figure out how we were going to do business in the middle of that.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to social distance myself into my wood shop and I'm going to build a guitar. That's going to be my thing. So I did research and got some prints, and in all my research it said, don't do a 335 for your first guitar. So of course I did a 335 for my first guitar.
Sounds logical.
And and he was completely blown away by it, and I got a lot of positive response on it. So then why not do a 330? Because we were talking and he's like, yeah, they do these in full. And I was like, yeah, 330, full hollow body. So I did a 330. So Jeff is now the proud owner of the first, Wood Spirit #1 and #2.
Nice.
And absolutely loves them. And it just, an old buddy of mine from Colorado said, "Hey, those look really great. Could you build one for my dad as a gift?" Ended up doing another full hollow body of 330 that went to Colorado, and he loved it, and it blew up.
Nice.
It absolutely blew up. And then it's a ton more research and talking to people and looking. I was speaking to Matt earlier about putting Les Paul Customs 330s, 175s, real high-end guitars in my hands and looking at them and studying them and kind of going off and looking at a bunch of different things, which led me down many different paths. Some of these that I do are a different construction technique, they actually go together more like a Rickenbacker than a Gibson. And then I have more traditional laminated guitars. But yeah, it just took me down that path, and I just started going. Right. And then I was very paranoid because I'm not a player.
I was just gonna.
And then I found out. I was gonna say. Then I found out Leo Fender wasn't really a guitar player either, and I was like, "Hey, okay, I'm good. I can do this."
Yeah. If so, spoiler alert. We discovered that a month ago, but if you weren't gonna mention that, I wasn't gonna let it just slip by, because what I wanted to ask you is, so what is it like? Like, there's a different level. I feel like there would be a different level of accountability needed, like when you're building guitars and you don't really know how to check yourself in the process of making it, if this is what a guitar player would want. So like, what's that like? Like, I've built this, but I have to give it to someone, and I have to get their feedback, one, sort of blindly, and also trust that they're being honest with you about the feedback, right?
Yeah, it's very tricky. The first thing that I did is a massive part of my research was guitar setup. And so regardless of the shape of the guitar, regardless of what components are in it, regardless of the neck shape, the neck form and all that, I knew where I wanted my action height to be. I knew where I wanted this to be. I knew that my intonation had to be set this way. All those technical aspects. Can't read music, can't play the guitar, but you can know exactly how to intonate a guitar, right, and set it up so that all those, it's like little check boxes and everything's ticked off. And then luckily I have Jeff Carolus, I have Bill Leach, I have a trusted group around me, and it's expanding. Now that I have more customers, it's expanding. I have Eric Mattis, another local phenomenal musician, recording artist. Alika Mattis, Eric's son, Alika, definitely more rock and roll. Sure. But he, is able to give me feedback, and I tell him, you need to be honest with me. So. Yeah, I'm lucky that I'm surrounded by a lot of people, but there's those technical check marks that I go through to make sure that from my angle, everything that I can possibly do is done. There's no fret buzz, right, the action's set correctly, I'm level, I'm true, everything's as good as I can possibly get it before I put it in that player's hands.
Yeah, you've really shown that, like we were talking before the show, it's a passion. You don't have to necessarily be a guitarist or guitar player to have a passion for guitars and the artwork and skill that goes into making them. And just, look at the guitars behind you. They're just gorgeous pieces of art.
Thank you.
Do you think you would ever want to change that model? Like, do you have now a desire to learn to play, or do you kind of want to keep it like this?
No, I am struggling my way through 12-bar blues at the moment.
Okay.
It's not going well because the 40, 50 hour a week main job and then building these, not a lot of time to practice.
For sure.
And that, another webcast thing when I was doing research, and the evil secret to learning guitar, I can make you a guitar master. You have to do one thing: practice. And that's, I don't have that much time yet. Yeah. But I would love to.
That's something we all run into.
We definitely feel that. Yeah.
We definitely understand. So you were telling us a story when we met you at the guitar show about one of your signature artists, When Rivers Meet. You want to give us a little bit of background about that? I believe it's Aaron Bond is the guitar player.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to. It is Aaron Bond and Grace Bond. It's a husband and wife. They're in the UK. And they originally started out doing kind of folksy, bluesy kind of stuff, all acoustic sets, and started working towards that. And they were doing some live performances, but very small, just really nice people though.
Right.
When the pandemic hit, they started doing, just to put stuff out there, they started doing a weekly live stream. I happened across this on Facebook, and I started kind of paying attention, and I saw a lot of potential. I saw a lot of talent. And then they dropped their first album in the middle of a pandemic. They funded it themselves. They're completely independent, and the album's phenomenal. And so I'm like, wow. And I'm watching Aaron play, and he has, I want to say at that point in time, I think he had maybe 3 guitars or 4 guitars, and all this. And in my personal opinion, his nicest guitar, he had a Les Paul that was pretty nice. But he's playing this just awesome blues and rock stuff and doing a lot of stuff with slide. And I'm just like, this guy needs a 335 so bad. And so I got in touch with him via email, and I was like, hey man, I love what you guys are doing. I want to build you a guitar. He's just like, dude, I'm like, hey, I get it. I sent him a guitar. I sent him a hot cherry red 335 with a Bigsby B7 matched 59s in it. Wow. Hip shot locking tuners. Beautiful, beautiful guitar.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I failed to tell my wife that I was sending that guitar to him for free.
Oh,
and so,
okay. I feel like you told us half the story at the Tacoma Dome, and I didn't want to pry.
I remember this part of the story too, because she was sitting right over there like,
Yeah.
Okay.
That caused a little ugliness in the household for a short time. But I sent the guitar over there. It ended up being named Bessie.
Okay.
And not only has their popularity completely blown up during the pandemic, total lockdown.
Yeah.
Nothing with that. They drop a second album. Oh, and in the meantime, because of the internet following, the British Blues Awards, they get nominated in 4 categories at the British Blues Awards. They win all 4.
Yeah.
They take all 4 home. This last year, they dropped the second album, which is phenomenal. And Bessie was on the album.
Featuring your guitar.
He played it on my guitar on 3 different tracks. And another small builder, Izzy Buckles out of Florida, Gulfcaster guitars. I'll give a shout out. He builds awesome guitars as well. And Izzy and I made the liner notes in the CD where they thanked us personally by name and by company name for the guitars and helping support them and all that. But I knew they were going to go. And sure enough, they dropped the second album. It's a great album. They were nominated 3 categories in the British Blues Awards this last year, won 3 of them, and went out on a headline tour. And so some of the pictures, if anybody goes to my Facebook, they'll see pictures of them on tour with Bessie. And it's not the only guitar he plays. And he's got a really cool guitar box or a cigar box. And of course, Bessie or Scotchy, which is his telly. He plays a lot of Scotchy. He plays a lot of those. So just phenomenal. And they're blowing up. They're going to be in the U.S. in August. I'm going out to Omaha, Nebraska. They're doing the Playing with Fire Festival in Omaha. So I'm going out in August to see them.
Right on.
Very cool.
So that's a great story. I love that because, it shows that you're seeing talent and the other people's passion as well, and being able to, you're using that as currency almost. Like, hey, I got this passion, you got this passion. I think it's really cool.
I knew he needed that guitar.
Yeah.
And when he got that, it kind of blew up when he got Bessie.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
That's
it was a
great.
lot of fun.
Great to hear.
God, that's amazing. Well, and you know what? And it goes into this, like, I think so many people, not even just music related, but they operate from this, you call it like operating from a place of scarcity. Like, if I give it away, if I hold on to it, or protect it, charge, like it, you're not going to, how do I say this? You have more opportunity by being generous with your gifts,
Yes.
And so, like, when you reach out to somebody and say, this person needs something, and then look what happened. It's like this mindset of just stop holding on to it, give it away.
Yeah.
And it's like, or, I talk about it about, like, my business. I don't want a business that's transactional. I want a business that's based in relationships, right? Like, transactions come with time, relationships ensure satisfaction and growth, and that everything you do is coming from a better place than just, a dollar sign.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, you give that first one away and someone blows up, the next one they're more likely to purchase and at more than full price, because, they have the ability now, and they may look at that as something that has helped them to get to where they're at. So you wouldn't have been in the liner notes for that album had you not given him the guitar. So, that's another cool little box to check. It's
it was very cool to see my first album credit. They're wonderful people, and great, amazing talent. I mean, anybody who's watching this, go check them out.
Yeah.
When Rivers Meet. It's more of that bluesy classic rock feel, little hints of Zeppelin, little hints in there, but amazing artists.
When we post the recorded version after the Instagram live ends, we'll make sure to put them in not the comments, but the caption, whatever it's called.
More people need to know about their music. It's really good.
So when I was working up the notes for this show, I did not realize you were going to have all your guitars hanging behind you. And I said, I want to talk about John's attention to detail. And I feel like most of that is, like, self-evident here.
Well, but he doesn't have all of them back there.
He doesn't have all
one
of them back there. There's one
next
sitting
to
over
you.
here. And I guess there's a little story that goes with that. And, hopefully I'll tell a consistent story here. But we walked around the corner. This was the Tacoma show this year it was the first one of these shows that I had been to from, like, a vendor mindset, and it wasn't really, we weren't a vendor, but we were networking. And I found that, like, the first aisle we walked down was really rough. And by the time we were done, I needed a breather. I'm like, stop forcing it. Just go talk. And so by the time I got down to your booth, like, a row later, I was in a whole different headspace.
Yeah, we'd gotten a lot of practice by then. Just talking.
And then I was like,
so smooth.
I stumbled into all these guitars, and one of the things that I noticed was that all these guitars had certain price tags on them, but there was one outlier that it didn't have a higher price tag on it. And I said, why? And you said, well, it was a prototype. And in my mind, that says, well, I would have tagged that higher. But you said, well, no, it's got things that are wrong with it. It's not perfect. It's not worthy of that price tag. And we talked about, I'm going to pull it on here. And we talked about this beauty.
By the way,
for a very long time.
If you follow the Instagram or Facebook page, you'll see there's videos of Matt playing on this guitar.
But this is, I was actually kind of hoping, I guess where I was going with the attention to detail there, to me it was funny because when I decided that I was finally going to purchase this, right, I asked if he would sign it, and you said, look inside it, and I don't think I can show that with this camera. I should have my second camera.
Well, but he might be able to show it actually with one of his guitars.
It's true, but it's not only does it have his brand mark in there, but it's date stamped and signed inside the body. Yeah.
Right
right
there.
You can kind of see the tail of it.
There.
I totally see it.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in there. Yeah. Every single one of them is branded, numbered, and signed on the dated.
Yeah. But this
numbered, dated, and signed.
You know, I was telling John a little bit about, in the month I've owned this guitar, sort of the relationship I've formed with it. And it's like, this is not the guitar that I pick up every day, but it's the guitar that I pick up like when I know that I want to experience something different. Mm-hmm. If I want to play a piece of music and think about it differently, it's going to speak to me differently. It's going to give me different creative ideas. There's just something about it, which I feel like is kind of cool that the company's Wood Spirit guitars, because there's something very spiritual about this. No matter where you sit on that spectrum, there's something about this that is more than just picking up any six-stringed instrument.
From the feel to the story behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely see all that.
Yeah. The one thing that I got to tell people, because I get a lot of questions. Pretty much well, I used to say everything, but I did one that was not a true semi-hollow or hollow body, but that's my specialty. Mm-hmm. And I think I build those because that's what I like to listen to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that is kind of my specialty. I did one that was not a true semi-hollow, but that was only because the piece of wood that I used was stunningly gorgeous, but highly unstable.
Right.
And so I couldn't. I think you guys got a chance to see that one.
Yeah.
The Spalted Maple top.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
Didn't that sell like the next day, or did it sell the day before?
That was the first one to sell down at the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was gone. It had a lot of people looking at it, and it was gone before the first day was over.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
congratulations.
But that one there wasn't a lot hollow on that one because I had to compensate for the stability of the wood.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but the rest, everything else I do is either full hollow body or semi-hollow body.
Well, and we talked a little bit about, you had a conversation with somebody and they said, "Oh, this is the type of guitar you're building." And you said, "Well, tell that to Dave Grohl." Like these guitars are meant to scream. And I was surprised when you told me that you put Invader pickups in this. That wasn't what I expected to see, and it wasn't what I expected to hear when I plugged it in. And the first thing I sat down and recorded with this was the second track, or the third track off Ghost's new album, because I wanted to see how much could I really push this thing. Yeah. And I didn't even put heavier strings on it. I had to go down into drop C with a set of 10s on this. So like it could have sounded even heavier than it did. And it was like, no, this guitar is a contender. 100%.
I do some things that are not typical.
Good.
I've done a 335, and most of the ones I do, I throw a set of nice classic 59 PAF type.
Yeah.
But I've done them with hot rod, a match set of hot rod pickups from Seymour Duncan. This one, okay, you see more of a Les Paul body shape, but it's semi-hollow. And I've got Seymour Duncan P rails with triple shot rings in it.
Right.
So this guitar, just switching here, I can go individually. Instead of doing push pulls, it's on the ring, and I can go basically split the coils, and I can say humbucker series, humbucker parallel. I can run a single bar here like a P90, or I can run a single hot bar, which you start to get a little bit more stratty kind of overtones in that. But so I'm not always, they see them and they think, oh, this is traditional semi-hollow. Not all the time.
No. And I'd actually never seen that pickup setup before we showed up to the show. I didn't go there expecting to learn that was even an option with the pickups with the switch on the side. I was like, well, I definitely learned something here today. I'm going to have to up my game.
I definitely say, like we talked about this before, but the gray and the green behind you both are on my list.
Yep.
Those would make a gunslinger nice album guitars. In a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think since we're a half hour into this, I don't want to miss or waste any more time talking about. I want to talk about Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, let's do that. Make-A-Wish. It's a great foundation. John was telling us that. Well, John, you had told us at the show that you have partnered with Make-A-Wish. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and pull up some of your work?
Well, my wife and I have been supporters of Make-A-Wish for several years. And my boss and at my company, his family, all support Make-A-Wish a lot. And we went to one of the big gala, the fundraising gala, and we saw that the Wish Kids were doing these wonderful art pieces that were being auctioned off for charity. And when I started building guitars, my daughter, who is an artist, was like, "Dad, I would love to get a hold of one of your guitars, just blank, and do artwork on it." And I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, that would be kind of cool. She does a lot of things similar to, kind of impressionist style type things, which I think would look great on a guitar. And I got thinking, I was like, why couldn't they do Wish art on a guitar?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I approached the Make-A-Wish organization and said, hey, I make guitars. What would you think if I did a blank guitar body, gave it to you guys? You can have the Wish Kids do art on it, get it back to me, I'll finish it up, I'll set it up, we'll test it out, and auction it off. And they were just like, yes, please.
Please.
And the thing is I actually, after the first one was so successful, I looked around. No other organization does anything. No other Make-A-Wish, because they're individual chapters throughout the country.
Right.
So like LA, Chicago, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else was doing anything like that.
Wow.
And so the first year I did one of my original styles and had a Wish artist, a young lady out of Fairbanks, Alaska, did phenomenal artwork on it, set it up, auctioned off. That year it wasn't live, it was online because of COVID. But that guitar sold for $15,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
And all the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish, correct?
All the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish.
That's fantastic.
And because the thing is I will do that all day long, because I would love to cut them a check for $15,000.
Yeah.
I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can help basically facilitate them getting that kind of
for sure
donation.
Wow.
And that was actually bought by a couple who are big music fans and apparently have a very large memorabilia collection and instruments, autographs, concert posters, some very, I can't say anything, but some very high-end, very well-known artists. And that guitar is probably front and center in that collection.
Wow.
And then that just went into the next year, and we did the second one, and now I'm waiting to get assigned my new artist for next year. So
our comment section loves this, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Such a cool idea. Hearts and smileys. Yes, amazing.
Do you
Good
want
stuff.
to pull up?
I do.
Yeah.
I was just waiting.
Images, and we can
Gonna pull up. So John, you're off camera now, but we are looking at both guitars, fronts and backs of both guitars. So on top we have
this is the most recent years.
Yep.
On top,
and on the bottom is the lantern. If you wanted to talk about these at all.
So the most recent one, which apparently are the pictures on top, the single cutaway.
Yep.
Okay. Single cutaway.
On top,
No, single. The top is single. Bottom's double.
It's not what I'm seeing. Please continue.
It's a single cut.
Anyway, if you see that, the newest one from this year was a single cutaway. It was actually kind of a 235 shape. With these guitars, both of them, the main body construction is almost exactly the same for two reasons. Number one, I don't use fancy figured maple. I use the most plain maple I can and then I use as clean of mahogany on the back as I can. So I get that balance between the maple and the mahogany for tone quality. So these guitars will actually play and sound really good. But I try to get the just plain, cleanest grain pieces I can, because what I'm trying to build is not a fancy guitar. I'm building a blank canvas for them to do art on. And I don't want crazy grain, that detracts from that. So that's how those are done. And those have more of a Fender style neck. It is a fixed neck, but it's more of a Fender build. Okay. And as you see in almost every single one of my builds, they're laminated necks. And I laminate those with a couple of different things, Cambia maple, mahogany to kind of balance things out, and then maybe some plain maple in there. Number one for tone quality, but one of the big reasons to laminate them is so they stay true and hold up a lot longer. Yeah. A lot less issues with a laminated neck over a single piece.
And my apologies, I was looking at the F-holes. I was looking at the cutout.
Oh, it's all good. I just was like...
A single cutout has double F-holes.
In those moments where you all of a sudden
single F-hole.
Doubt everything you thought a cut was.
Yes,
I saw exactly. 4 lights. I saw 4 lights, damn it.
4 lights.
if you look at the first year model, you'll notice that it looks identical to somebody else's guitar.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes. I was noticing that it has a slightly different bridge.
It has a different bridge. We went with it's like
a Telly. It's a Telly style, isn't it?
It's Telly, but I can't remember. I'm trying to remember if I did top load or front or through body. But it's a Telly style bridge, and it's more the Fender style neck. Yours is more a little kind of a Gibson hybrid type neck on yours.
Yeah, when I look at mine, I almost think of it as a Gibson Fender Rickenbacker. It's
exactly.
Yeah, and it plays like an ESP, so it's like it does everything. Yeah.
So, well, I couldn't help it. You look at the Rickenbackers and the engineering part of my brain just locked on because it's so cool.
Right.
The method they do that with. But to be honest, I mean, I really appreciate it. And who doesn't love some of the classic Beatle tunes that have that classic Rickenbacker jangle, and a lot of the guys coming out in that era, it's a distinct sound. Mm-hmm. But that Rickenbacker jangle just doesn't work in a lot of different types of music. And so that's why I balance mine out with some mahogany and other things to kind of soften that down a little bit.
And what you were saying there about your laminated neck was another kind of callback to the attention to detail. I mean, it's a fantastic detail. Yeah. You just turn that guitar around, you can stare at that neck for hours. Just the way that it's laminated, the colors that pop out. I mean, they're just gorgeous. They're gorgeous guitars. Look at that.
Yes, that Matt, you definitely have a one of a kind because that is Bloodwood. That is a Bloodwood fingerboard, and that is a Bloodwood control panel. And I will never do it again.
It was that good to work with then, huh? Yeah.
Well,
that Bloodwood is a nightmare to work with.
If you ever need it back, you know not where to go.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but for real, if you ever need it, like to showcase or anything, like there's trust here. If you ever need it, I'll get it to you, and sure. It's too beautiful not to showcase. So yeah, that's an open if you need it. Well, I want to talk about. I know that you ran out to the garage real quick to grab a couple beautiful planks of wood. I want to talk about where are you going from here and the next couple projects that you have.
The next couple projects I have, I had a couple of people, one in particular at the Tacoma show, who said, I see that this is unique and original with my single cutaways here. But they go, have you ever thought of doing a double cutaway, kind of an SG kind of thing? And that got me thinking. It was like, who's ever done a semi-hollow body SG? Mm-hmm. So I started toying around. I've got a couple of different mock-ups in the shop right now, and I'm working on a double cutaway, both symmetrical and asymmetrical, playing with a couple of different neck styles on those and whatnot. But I have, in the meantime, thanks to a big shout out to Bill Leach Bill. Bill had a friend who essentially dumped a ton of maple on him. And he's like, you got to take some of these pieces of maple, man. You got to do. So he's building guitars and all that. Well, I finally cleaned up it, had to let him cure out a little bit and all that. But I cleaned up some of the pieces that he gave me and did a little book match action. Yeah. And I know it's kind of hard to see, Well, there you're starting to get a little bit of the flame
Yeah,
in there.
no, we can definitely see
Wow.
that. I was
So
telling
that one's pretty warm.
I was telling John earlier. I thought it looked like one of those 3D stickers.
Yeah, almost.
You know,
Yeah, it's got that.
yeah,
And then this one,
beautiful.
you have
wow.
all this crazy middle grain going, and then you also have all that flame in that as well.
Heck yeah.
So when this gets a little bit of color to bring that, and then throw about 15, 16 coats of lacquer on that, and it'll pop.
Yeah.
And I don't know about both of them, but one of those is definitely going to be the new double cut style that I finally settled on. I've been putting it out there to a few different people, getting feelers on, basic pictures of my mock-ups, which I do out of just MDF, trying to dial in body shapes.
Yeah.
So, and I think we're definitely going to go on that double cut. We're gonna heat them pickups up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about if I'm gonna go with the Invaders, but we're gonna put something a little hotter on that
Yes,
one.
sir.
Well, if you ever are desperate for some mediocre player to come test drive one, I know where you.
You want mediocre? I'm your man.
So are you? Will you? How thick is that stock that you've got there? Is that
Those blanks there are just under 3/4-ish.
so? That's is that two? Is
they're,
that two?
They're not at final.
Is that 2 guitars worth?
That's two. That's just the face.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's just the face. And just like if you look at any Les Paul, it's a maple top and typically a mahogany back. Sometimes you'll see ash,
Right.
depending on what they're doing, but that's a very typical layup in those, which is there's a reason that it's so typical. Is it kind of gives you the tone you want. You get the cleanness of the maple, and then you can smooth it out a little bit with the mahogany. And then on like my traditionals that I mold up the center blocks, I do all of them are 3-ply maple front and back. Right. I do my laminations that way, and the rims are all maple. However, the center blocks I play with, I do most of them in maple, which is typical Gibson heritage, all of them. But I've also done, as a matter of fact, Bessie, and I believe I told Darren this, so it may not come as a surprise if he sees this, but Bessie actually has a mahogany center block in it. And I've done some with basswood as the center block. So it just, it varies. It goes back and to get that balance. But yes, that's 2 tops. That's 2 guitars.
Okay.
That'll be finished off the backs with some nice mahogany.
Right on.
When you build well, I guess it's rookie question, because I've never built a hollow body or a semi-hollow. Would you ever use one for the front and one for the back, or mix and match those 2 pieces, or am I asking? That's
well, yeah, you are mixing and matching.
Okay.
So you have the maple top and the mahogany back.
I see. Okay.
You split those in that way. And I have a very special piece of book matched wood in the garage.
Okay.
A really super nice guy gave me a beautiful piece of book matched Hawaiian koa. It's not overly large. So essentially like an LP size is about as big as I can go. And I toyed, and it's stunningly, it's figured book matched koa.
Okay.
It's gorgeous. And I haven't decided whether to make an acoustic instrument with it or to put it in electric, but that one, because it's right now, it needs to be sanded down slightly, but raw, I'm at about 3/16, so it's very thin. So in that case, that would be just the top skin. If I did a semi-hollow electric with it, that would be just the top skin, and so you would have a larger portion of mahogany in the back of that one. So
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of depends on what wood I have, what that split really is.
Very cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really interesting.
I'm thinking when these new projects are in process, you should do some along the way photos and do sort of like a timeline.
Do a montage.
I've done that. I've done that. I've actually done several of my customers. I've done time lapse. So they have that whole guitar coming together, and the one, well, as a matter of fact, Eric Mattis was asking me, he's like, so, well, where exactly how did you run this? And I flipped back to him, I'm like, Eric, I sent you this, and I resend him the picture, and it's like, yeah, that's your guitar. That's the center block before the face is put on. This is the routing. This is where everything's at. And they like it, because they know exactly what's going on the inside without putting a camera in there and fishing it around or whatever. Right. So, but yeah, I can definitely send you some pictures of how things progress.
Cool.
Yeah, we definitely want to stay in touch. And John, it's been a pleasure having you on here. And if anything is going on with your building, we want to go ahead and amplify that from our channel as well, because I think
100%.
the world needs to see your guitars. The world needs to hear your guitars.
Yes.
September.
SeaTac
Guitar Show in Kent.
All right.
I will have a booth at the SeaTac show in Kent in September. And I can't remember the exact dates off the top of my head, but it'll be advertised shortly. As soon as I get the advertisement stuff, I'll forward it to you and you can post it up. Because that's just not me. That's everybody. That's
probably
it's
yeah. We'll probably come up there and see you.
Yeah, we'll definitely come up. Maybe
it's not as big as the Tacoma show, but it's a cool show.
Actually, I think that's the one that we had talked to a local vendor from Olympia that was there, and he was saying that one might be the better show to go to. Considering how I think what he's thinking is because he's a guitar shop, so he wasn't selling a whole lot at Tacoma this year, and he's thinking that one might be the better show for the size to be able to sell some stuff.
Yeah.
But
is it at the Showware Center, or where in Kent is it?
It's I think it's at it's next to the Showware. Yeah. It's by the Showware Center.
It's still so weird to me to think of Kent as putting on shows like that. I grew up in Kent, and it like Kent in 1995 is different than Kent in 2022. It's just so like,
well, this will be like the 32nd year that they've had that show.
Okay, well, I guess I was just like not doing the right thing 32 years ago.
Yeah, that one's been happening a while. Yeah. So
yeah,
this will again be only my second year going to this one, but yeah,
it's wild, man. We went to segue. We went to a baby shower in Kent a few months ago, and it ended up being in the same. It was in the same recreational facility that my dad used to take me to when I was like 4 years old, so he could play racquetball with his friends, and I would sit there like drinking grape juice to keep me out of trouble while he played racquetball, and it's had the exact same stench. It's like, that building has not changed, except for it's right next to the jail now.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So you go play racquetball, and it says "Don't let in prisoners." And it's okay. Well, common sense. John, it's been a pleasure.
Yes,
we're gonna
certainly has.
Go ahead and probably wrap it up because we're coming up close on an hour. But thank you so much for spending the evening with us and showing us your guitars.
Absolutely.
We will stay in touch, and I can't wait to
hear
and see more from you.
Yeah, definitely.
You bet. Thanks again, guys.
Take care.
See ya.
Wow,
that was fantastic.
That was cool. What a great guy, a wonderful builder. Again, his guitars are works of art. I mean, they're beautiful. They play phenomenally too.
I didn't plan on coming home with a guitar that day. I mean, I knew it would probably happen. Let's be real. Like a guitar player going to a guitar
somewhere
show
deep inside, you kind of did.
I guess I didn't think that I was. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I didn't think that I was going to come home with. I definitely didn't think I was going to come home with a prototype from a builder in Everett.
That's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
Right there.
I didn't even know there was a wood called Bloodwood. Like,
I was unaware of it myself. That's makes it even cooler. No wonder Ghost plays so well on it.
I just thought that maybe the frets would be a little sharp and they would just be covered in blood when you're done.
Blood. Yeah,
your blood would. But so I'm gonna be rude here, and I'm gonna look at my calendar because I did not write down what's coming up. Next.
I've got the next couple shows written down. I don't know how far you want to go into your schedule, but we're pretty excited. A good friend of mine.
That's right.
I've worked with him before in the industry. my brother and I don't know if I mentioned this on the show. My brother and I did have a record label for a short time. And one of the artists that we worked with a lot was Mr. Tony Reed with Moss Generator and Stone Axe were the two acts we put out at the time that he was in. He's also in several other bands. We're going to have him on our next show.
2 weeks?
2 weeks from now. He's looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that he can be a recurring guest.
Yeah.
Because he is in so many projects. He's doing so much from playing guitar. He can really play any instrument. He's an engineer, sound engineer with his own studio, so we could talk studio stuff with him. Yeah. We can do a dedicated show on that. So I'm really looking forward to kind of introducing everybody to him and having him have his first show with us, because I definitely don't want it to be his last. And then on the 26th of July, we're going to welcome Jasper Amps from Texas.
That's right. Eric Royals of Jasper Amplification.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about him building amps.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to have Eric on this show. For not only is he building like some seriously awesome retro style Marshall amplification type style amps. Let's say the same word over and over again. But like, he's in the same journey as I think so many of us find ourselves now, like really kind of questioning whether it be the pandemic, whether it be questioning, I have this day job, but does it really want to be what I want to be doing? He's going from, this is what I think of myself as, or what I used to think of myself as, and this is what I want to be. And I think it's just an incredible story of vision and purpose and music, and super stoked for July 26th.
Yeah, you've been talking with him for quite a while, so that should be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, actually, we had a pre-talk, man. We I guess we spoke about a month ago, and I think it was about 40 degrees in Washington State, and well, I guess it was like early May, so it was like 88 degrees in Texas. And I could hear my kids upstairs talking about, what are we gonna do today? It's cold, and his kids are like bugging him on the phone. Oh, are we going to the swimming? Are we gonna go swimming today outside? He wanted it to be cooler, and I wanted heat. We were like, let's just switch spots. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be a good show.
That'll be a lot of fun to talk with another builder, learning process, learning about what goes into that. Yeah. And then our next show after that, on the 9th of August, we've booked Dead Hollows, which is an Olympia 2-piece. So that should be a fun and interesting show. They're going to play some live tunes as well. Tony, I believe, will play some stuff for us also in our next show. But we have a lot of great shows lined up, and we're pretty much booked up all the way through September. We've got a couple open slots here and there, but September and into October right now. So
we have a really exciting thing to talk about this winter.
Yes. And
I'm not going to confirm anything officially, because we're going to confirm it, and we have like the light confirmation. I'll just say 4 words: turn up the radio.
Yes.
And yeah, if that means anything to you, it should.
Yeah, it should. I was like talking about that as a possibility with my brother again. Like, I know I wasn't supposed to talk about it, but
you weren't supposed to talk about it, but I wasn't supposed to talk about it.
He doesn't do social media.
But they might just be 4 words. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, keep glued in with us, because we have some great shows lined up. It's been crazy, because we've been talking about for so long doing a lot of the talking about industry and doing maintenance and stuff like that, kind of getting the hands on, getting a little hands dirty, and showing you guys some of that side of the stuff too. And we haven't really had the opportunity since we started introducing bands to you, and now builders. So we're gonna try to fit in a couple of those shows as well in the next couple of months, to make sure that we have the full breadth of our scope covered. But
so let us know.
It's just opportunity,
If you have anything specific on your guitars that you're needing done, that you're not ready to hire it out, but you want to know how to do it, let us know. I mean, there's a few around here to tear apart and show how to do things. Right. So. I like taking things apart, so it's fun to do that on camera.
We are also planning something. I don't know if it's all completely settled yet, but we're planning something with another friend of ours that does Instagram podcasting, Victoria Fregoso.
Oh yeah, I can't
right?
tell if she's still on the line. She was watching earlier. She's got her great show. I try to watch her show on Tuesdays. It's called Tuesdays with Toya. Hers is a little closer to dinner time. So if the kids are quiet enough, we'll put it on at the dinner table.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was telling you this earlier, and I'm glad I get to say it because, to me, a guy that's been working through Zoom connections for the last 2 years, I have this like. It's probably dramatic to call it trauma, but like more programming that we'll have Tuesdays with Toya sitting there at the dinner table, and then my kids will get into it and just start screaming. And my gut reaction is, oh God, am I on mute? Can everyone else on Instagram hear my kids screaming? And no, they can't.
But that's
Check her show out.
Yeah.
It's every Tuesday at 5:00.
Yeah. But we're working with her to get something scheduled.
Yeah, we're gonna be on her show. She's gonna be on ours in September, and then we have a really cool like other idea to. I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll definitely get there. So yeah, stay with us and don't forget to fret less.
Rock more.
We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for showing up.